Hey guys, welcome back. Blades of God here from Hammer Bros Gaming. Today we're going to be going through Chapter 11 of Deadspace on Impossible difficulty for the Epic Tier 3 Engineer Achievement. If you've been watching my guide series on this game, you'll know that this is not going to be a how to play the game guide. I'm not going to be telling you about the different guns. I'm not going to be telling you about kinesis or stasis or any of that stuff. This is going to be purely a survival guide telling you how to get through combat situations, what I use for equipment, and basically where to find loot that'll help you out through the game. So as we come off the tram into Chapter 11, there's a store and a bench right at the beginning. If you need to buy anything or upgrade anything, you go through that first door into a hallway. You could see there was one of the exploding, the walking hand grenades that I like to call them. But anyway, we're going to come down this hallway. There's no enemies besides that one hand grenade, and then there's another bench into this room. There was a bathroom and a little alcove you could check for supplies as well, but pretty much we're going to be diving straight into a fairly large fight right from the beginning as you try to get the marker loaded onto the ship. So as you come down the elevator, this room has, I believe, 3 catwalks and 4 corner rooms that you can use for cover. The big trick right here is you want to keep the enemies away from you because they will circle around behind you and surround you. Make sure you use stasis. I always keep one stasis pack in my inventory, and this is a great time that if you have enough credits or if you have an extra one in your safe, get it from the store and keep 2 stasis packs on you, because having plenty of stasis available will make things much simpler. So as you can see, I'm working my way around the right side of these walkways, kind of hitting all 4 corners of the room, grabbing all the supplies I can out of the boxes and the lockers. It's random what you get out of these lockers. Sometimes it's better than others, but you can kind of see my inventory just popped up on screen there, and I had a ton of ammunition, 3 full med packs, plenty of stuff on hand because this is a big fight. So once you activate the control console or panel and you bring the marker up, you're going to get hit with your second wave of enemies. They all start from the far end of the room, and what you're going to want to do is kind of stay, or what I do anyway, is stand in the middle here and sort of use the walkways as shooting galleries or shooting lanes. These necromorphs, you can see the first enemy I took out was a walking grenade. Then I have 2 standard necromorphs, except they had armor on their shins, which is why it took so many shots to get them downed. And then I have a carrier form. So if this is the first guide that you've seen in this series, you're going to know that, or I should let you know that to take out those carrier forms, you want to take them out at a distance, and you want to take them out quickly, because if they get too damaged, they will rupture and release a swarm of the little flipper type enemies, or if they get too close and they get damaged, they'll do the same thing. Once you take those out, you saw there was 2 lurkers that came running up. They're pretty simple to take out. Wait for them to, if you have the time, wait for them to open up their back and expose the tentacles, then shoot them. If not, just go ahead and lay into them. You should have plenty of ammunition, so feel free to expend some of it here. Do not advance down this walkway after you bring the marker up out of the storage area, because you can see those 2 giant tentacles come out, and those, I'm not sure if they're a one-hit kill, but on Impossible I'm assuming they're a one-hit kill, so don't get pushed into those and let yourself get surrounded by enemies, because you will die very quickly. So you saw there was 2 that popped up on the right as I came down that center walkway. I circled back around to what I call the right side of the room. There was one that came up there. Now I'm right back where I came down originally with the elevator. There was one necromorph that came down. I think he just jumped down, and he had armor on his legs, so had to kind of take him out by body shot and arm shots. Now I'm going down the far side of the room, the first side of the room I should say, and there's yet another one of these giant tentacles that come up. Make sure you're aiming for that yellow explosive point. It is their weak point, which you should know at this part of the game. I mean, if you're on Impossible, you've played through the game. This is at least your second time playing through. So, obviously the big yellow spot is the weak spot. So, at that point, after we took out that 4th tentacle, we cleared out most of the enemies, so I doubled back to grab the marker and start moving it. Got swarmed by some more enemies here. This got kind of hairy. There was 2 of the darker, more damaging necromorphs, along with the standard quick morph and a carrier form. Again, I was not using stasis very effectively, so I ended up getting surrounded. You can see that I've got all 4 of those enemies still right in that little corner room. and I'm just sort of backing up, kiting the enemies around the walkways, and the stasis enemy in the doorway actually blocked most of those additional enemies from getting through to come after me. And here we have a lurker, a couple of lurkers it looks like joining the party. It's just a mess in there. I mean, you can just see there is a pile of essentially biomass that's just sitting there as I kill things. So, kind of kite the enemies around if you can. Use stasis to slow them down. And you can see I'm still sitting pretty good on my pulse rifle ammo. But once you take them out, you should be in the clear. So bring the marker all the way around to the final spot right there. It's going to go up on the lift, and then you can backtrack to the elevator. There was another enemy that came out, but you can run by him if you're quick enough like I did. And you're just, once you're up the elevator, you're going to follow your waypoint indicator. You're back in the room where you came out of the tram, and then we're up an elevator. This is a good time for me to say I am only using 2 guns in this run. I'm using the plasma cutter and the pulse rifle. The reason I do this is that you can maximize your upgrades at the bench by only having 2 weapons in your rig to upgrade, and the game gives you the ammo for the weapons that you're using. So if you only have 2 guns, you get more ammunition for those guns rather than having a large variety of ammunition being dropped. Alright, this room should look familiar. This is when you first started the game. This was one of the first rooms you came into. The door locks, you go into lockdown, and you have another almost horde-style fight. These are a lot of standard necromorphs, so at this point, I was going to say it would be an easy fight, but you see I get grabbed right there, and I am not in good shape. I almost died. I don't know why that necromorph didn't hit me, but whatever the case is, he didn't. I was able to get a blast of stasis off to freeze all 3 of them. What I was going to say was at this point your weapon should be upgraded enough and your stasis and health should be upgraded enough that you can tank this fight without too much of an issue. I like to hold this area, this little raised area right by the door. You do have 1 or 2 enemies that drop down right in your face. Yep, right there. But again, if you've got your stasis upgraded like you've seen me do in the past videos, you should have plenty of stasis to be able to just, you know, slow these guys down if you get overwhelmed. I'm not great about that. And you can see right here, I've got very little health left after that fight. I was almost dead. So I was not paying attention to what I was doing. I almost died, but we made it through. So we're going to come back into the room where we had to lift the security activation, or the security lockdown in the first chapter. We're going to go down that hallway that we ran down in the first chapter again to the elevator, but the elevator's blocked. However, that little door was open, and that had quite a bit in the way of useful items. So make sure you scavenge everything that you can. Now we're backtracking, and this is right where we started the game. We're right back in the landing bay. And I slowed it down here because you can see that this is where we get Peng, and there's an achievement linked to this. I actually have a walkthrough guide on how to find Peng, but I just figured I'd slow it down and show you guys right there too. So once you... I don't know what I was looking at on my map there, but once you get Peng, which you can sell at the store for a good amount of credits, we're going to go up these ramps. There's some wall lockers over here for some more supplies. Turn off the gravity, and then we're going to do some flying. We're going to go all the way to the far side of the room first, and there's some boxes and wall lockers over here we can scavenge some additional equipment from. While I'm running around here, I'll also say that in addition to only using 2 weapons through this run, I also always try to make sure I have at least 1 power node on me. This is so I can unlock any equipment rooms that require a power node. They're almost always worth it, so I highly recommend always keeping 1 power node on your person. And in addition, I keep 1 stasis pack and try to keep at least 3 medium med packs, if not more, or large med packs. Alright, so once you start jumping over to the middle of the room here after you jump to the far side originally, you're going to have some lurkers come in. There was one walking right next to me. I didn't see him, so I ended up taking a hit. But I noticed that they had all jumped behind me, which is why I couldn't find them. So instead of just running, I decided to jump. You can see, I believe there's 5 lurkers in this room. Since the gravity's off, you could jump around a lot and be very mobile, make it hard for them to hit you, but they can jump just as easily as you can, so it's very easy to lose track of where they are. Instead, what I like to do is plant myself on one of these catwalks, and again, just sort of walk backwards, kite the enemies back. They won't, usually I should say, they're not going to jump straight at you. They'll only jump if they're on a different platform or different surface. So since they're level with you right now, they're not going to jump, or they shouldn't jump at you. So you can just sort of walk backwards, watch them waddle towards you, and you should be able to take them out without too much trouble. So after you take out those 5 lurkers, you're going to check for anything that they may have dropped, and then we're going to go to the opposite side, or the near side, I should say, from where we came into the room and dropped the gravity. There's some more equipment over here, more boxes that you can break, wall lockers, all sorts of good stuff for you to loot. And this is actually where we need to be to continue to move the marker towards the escape pod, or the shuttle. So as we come over here and we use our kinesis to grab the marker and start moving it down the track, we are actually going to have a few enemies pop in. You can see I'm looking around for them, but didn't see anything yet, so just continued moving the marker along the tracks, using the little control console to turn that turntable. And I'm pretty sure right about now I have a few, yep, there we go, a few of the jumping enemies. I think there's 2 of them that come in. So these things are quick, they hit pretty hard. Keep them at a distance, aim for the arms. You guys know how to handle these at this point. You're on chapter 11. It's old hat. So you do also have, you're going to see me use these explosive canisters. You can use those instead of shooting to save some ammo. I use one here, hits him, doesn't do a whole lot of damage, so I say, well, I'm going to grab another one and try that again. And this one absolutely destroys him. And he just breaks apart into a lot of little pieces. So once those 2 jumpers are dead, then we are going to continue to move our marker over to the pod. You'll see you'll get the objective completed notification, and once you do, you're going to have a couple of lurkers come in. Again, you can see I'm trying to use the explosive canisters, couldn't quite grab it with my kinesis. Tried and failed again, was having a rough time. Finally grabbed one, that connected, and you could see an item just went shooting off up into the sky towards the ceiling. This time, instead of turning my back to him, I just decided to lay into him with the pulse rifle. And once they're dead, you can see that was the item that flew off from the first lurker. Once they're dead, you're going to come back up to the gravity control panel, reactivate gravity so the marker can be loaded onto the pod. Then you're going to have a whole bunch of talking happening. Walk, 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 and boom, he's dead. Big surprise. Nobody gets to live in this game. So watch him die slowly. I break him apart just because it's habit. If I see a corpse in this game, I break it apart so it can't be reanimated as an enemy. And then we get to listen to a whole bunch of dialogue. A whole bunch of dialogue. Like, this is a lot of dialogue. And she's still going. Decided to check my inventory, see how I was doing with supplies. And look, more dialogue. There, finally the door opens, so we're going to come up this walkway that the door was previously locked for. And then we're going to come into this room. There's a wall hugger that has already deployed a few pods. There's not a lot of cover in this room, so you need to be very, very conscious of strafing when you try to take these pods out. You can see that I'm waiting just a second before I shoot at the tentacle from the pod, and that's because when it first emerges, it's actually still invincible. It can't be cut off, so you gotta wait until the little tip of the pod's tentacle points towards you a little bit, then you can cut it off. You can see I didn't strafe fast enough there, and I actually took a hit, but at this point, again, most enemies are old hat. Shouldn't be anything new to take these guys down. Aim for the arms that attach to the wall to damage the wall hugger itself and cut the tentacles off of the little pods that it generates. So once we get past him, we're into the control room. There's a power node on the wall and a couple of wall lockers. Make sure you grab that stuff. And I mean, the first time you played through this game, if you hadn't thought something fishy was happening, then all of these screens freaking out should have clued you in that there was something strange going on. So again, we're going to see there that I got plenty of health packs on hand. I've got plenty of ammo for both the plasma cutter and the pulse rifle. And now we just have to wait. There's dialogue and just a lot of standing around waiting for this to play through. You can look at all the pretty flashing lights if you want. There we go. Now the door's unlocked. So we're going to backtrack through the room with the wall hugger. We're going to go back down the ramp to the room, the docking room. And basically we're going to make our way out here onto this platform. where we had fought some jumpers and some lurkers, and this time we have 3 of these more upgraded or stronger jumper enemies. And it's, again, we fought plenty of these at this point, so you could see I stasised them. I managed to hit all 3 with one stasis blast. It's kind of hard to tell where one ends and the other ones begin here because they're all bunched together. But once you take all 3 of them out, gather up whatever supplies they may drop, then head to the shuttle, climb on board, and you are all done with Chapter 11. We've got one more chapter to go, guys. I appreciate you watching, and I hope this guide helped. Until next time, take care. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Blades of God, and until next time, have a great day everyone.